On this Memorial Day weekend, a very special gathering pays tribute to the greatest generation. The Crystal VFW said thank you to local World War II veterans. Here's Shannon Slatton.
You could almost call this a welcome home celebration, except these soldiers, Marines, and sailors came home 60 years ago.
It's been my dream to do these dinners honoring veterans from every generation, and of course we picked World War II as the first generation to honor.
The Crystal VFW plans to host a few of these special dinners, honoring local veterans who fought in different wars or conflicts.
We've lost a number of World War II veterans from our post within the last year, so it's our privilege to be able to put this on.
Nice to see some of the guys are still left. Getting kind of slim.
After dinner, veterans like 96-year-old Don Halverson shared their stories.
What was the best day you had in combat?
I have to say, May 2nd of '45 when the war ended.
We might think about ticker tape parades and big celebrations when the greatest generation came home from war. But Halverson says it wasn't that way for everyone.
And my dad and mother and one of my sisters met me and went home, and that was it.
Mom and Dad and your sister, welcome home.
That's what I say, 60 years, and now I'm glad I lived this long, because now I got that honor flight and a few other things.
Which meant this night, this honor took on a special significance for the veterans.
All eyes over here, guys.
And their families. That it's never too late to say thank you for your service.
One of the area's oldest cemeteries commemorates Memorial Day each year with flags and a ceremony.
Because it's part of the respect for the guys that make this country free.
Len Jacobson with the Brooklyn Center American Legion organizes volunteers to place flags by headstones of veterans ahead of Memorial Day ceremonies. It's a lengthy process. This cemetery has veterans from wars going back to the Civil and Spanish-American Wars. Volunteers put out about 170 flags. A Golden Valley resident is out with a new World War II novel. It's titled The Hidden One, described as a historical and political thriller. Norm Mitchell wrote the novel. It calls to mind the plight of tens of thousands of Allied prisoners of war captured by the Germans during World War II. They were supposedly liberated by the Red Army. Instead, they were sent to Russian gulags in Siberia. Some were put in small iron cages and exposed to harsh weather.
And you squatted for as long as the guard decided that you were going to be there. And sometimes the guard forgot, and people just died, you know, boom.
Mitchell is also working on a sequel. It's the time of year when high school seniors move on to the next phase of their lives. As Delane Cleveland reports, the same can also be said for a long-time Wayzata high school teacher.
I have a bunch of extra shirts and things like that that I want you guys to take.
With the school year coming to a close,
What size do you want?
Medium.
it's time for the students in Wayzata High School's Student Council to elect next year's executive board.
And this is something that all of you need to take very seriously when you're doing your votes.
For the seniors in this group, it's the end of a chapter.
Those of you that are new and maybe don't recognize some of the names on there, you will understand how important some of these people are to our council.
And the one person who's been an ever-present part of that chapter is Student Council Advisor Sue Iverson.
She's just such a positive person and inspiring others just constantly, and she makes so many sacrifices for Student Council that it makes us just really enjoy Student Council so much better.
She's been an inspiration for me throughout all high school of her work ethic and her ability to get things done.
That would be so cool.
Sue Iverson has worked at Wayzata High School since 1986 as a math teacher, dance coach, and gifted and talented coordinator.
I love the student contact, and I mean, Wayzata High School, Wayzata Public Schools have been dear to my heart since the day I was born.
Both of Iverson's parents worked in the district, so it was almost natural that she would follow in their footsteps.
The school board meeting where my hiring was approved, they approved my mom's retirement.
Now, after a career that spanned 4 decades, Iverson has decided to step down.
I just think it's time, 33 years.
But in those 33 years, she's made quite the impact.
We all know that our youth need mentors and positive role models to emulate and to work with, and there's none better than Sue Iverson.
Many students would echo that sentiment, and before the seniors head off to the next stage of their lives, they wanted to express their appreciation.
Thank you for being such a big role model in my life throughout these 4 years.
Just being there for us when we need her. Just thank you for everything.
Dwayne Cleveland, CCX News.
As for what's next for Iverson, she says she plans to move to a cabin in northern Minnesota and take a year off to travel with her husband. Sounds like a great plan. It's also the end of an era at Osseo Creek Elementary in Brooklyn Park. Rolf Carlson is retiring after 20 years as the school's principal. One of Carlson's talents was his ability to play the trumpet. On this Memorial Day, we'll leave you with Carlson's rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner.
At age 33, former Wayzata High School player Ryan Saunders this week became the youngest head coach in the NBA when he was officially named the coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. CCX Sports Director John Jacobson talked to Saunders about the day and what's ahead for the team.
It means a lot. It means a lot. It's for a number of different reasons, and you know, it's more about, for me, it's about the players and the fact that you build the trust where you can have backing and solid footing to start. But it also, you know, it means that I get to continue to build on something and work towards an ultimate goal, which I understand is going to be a challenge, and it's not always going to be, you know, these days where everybody's smiling and laughing. There's going to be tough days, but I welcome those challenges, and I'll put my best foot forward because that's what Minnesota deserves.
At what age did you first have the thought, I want to be a coach at some level, be it high school or college or the NBA here?
Yeah. I don't know what age it was. Probably when I realized I wasn't good enough to play professional basketball, because I knew I wanted to be around the game forever. Knew I wanted to be around the game as an occupation, and for that reason, you know, I fell in love with the game at an early age, and that's helped me grow, and it's helped me get to this point right here.
You graduated from Wayzata High School in 2004, which to you I'm sure seems like a half a lifetime ago, but really isn't that long ago. Did you think at that point, 33, I could be a head coach in the NBA?
I don't know if you ever think that something like that can happen at you know, at this age, but I knew it was going to be in the realm of possibility, because I knew one, what my work ethic is, what I stand for. But then also, you know, I knew my approach to the game and how I'd be willing to adapt to the ever-changing NBA game. So I knew it was in the realm of possibility, but it might have been in the outer realm.
You talked about your dad in the press conference. What do you think he would have said to you today?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I said he'd tell me to be my own man, but you know, he would also told me, you know, how proud he is of me today, and just to be a part of, you know, the organization that meant so much to him, and to be a leader here, and he told me to, you know, take care of it for him.
More pressure being in your own hometown as saying being the head coach somewhere else?
Yes and no. I mean, there's more relationships, but you know, I don't know. I don't really feel pressure, to be honest with you. Just you know, on a daily basis in general, because you know, I know that things are going to work out the way they should, but you have to put the work in if you want them to work out the way you want them to work out. So for that reason, you know, I look forward to putting the work in here, and you know, maybe not being as stressed as you might be, you know, at times.
Is your approach changed now? Is either the way you coach or the new team that you've got around you in management?
Yeah, it does a little bit. It does a little bit. We're obviously going to be more collaborative on things. We're going to think of ways that we can grow the game and grow ourselves and this organization in a number of ways. So for that reason, we'll make sure to challenge each other, challenge the norms of how this game is played and how it's approached, and we just look forward to that challenge.
Talk about some of the guys that you went to school with that still support you and you keep in touch with.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's one of my best friends. As I was walking, he actually played at Wayzata. Datuno Badina ended up playing at North Dakota State. I was the best man at his wedding. He was in my wedding. As I'm walking down to take the stage, I hear somebody yell to me in the Skyway, and he walked over from his job over at in the Wells Fargo building to come support me. And I still speak to Spencer Tollickson, who I room with at the Gophers at the U. I see him a lot. Jamal Bushamal, Blake Hoffarber, and I live close to each other, and we meet for a late bite and watch some games late at night. So having that support in this market is really special to me.
Saunders and the team are now working on assembling the rest of the coaching staff. And that's all for sports. More news in a moment.